Good morning, students. Welcome to Bindu Dhadwal chemistry lessons. Today we'll be doing the topic enzymes and hormones from the chapter Biomolecules of class 12th. The enzymes are biological catalysts produced by living cells which catalyze the biochemical reactions in living organisms. Chemically, enzymes are naturally occurring simple or conjugate proteins. Some enzymes may also be non-proteins. Almost all enzymes are globular proteins, and without enzymes, the living processes would be very slow to sustain life. For example, without digestive enzymes, a single meal will take 50 years to get digested in our body. That is how important an enzyme is within our body. All enzymes are proteins, and about 3,000 enzymes have been identified. The enzymes differ from other types of catalysts in being highly selective and specific. One enzyme will act on one molecule only. Enzymes are generally named after the compound or class of compounds upon which they work. For example, the enzyme maltase works on the substrate maltose and causes its hydrolysis to form two molecules of glucose. But sometimes enzymes are also named after the reaction where they are used. For example, the enzyme oxide reductase will carry out oxidation of one substrate, but at the same time it will carry out a simultaneous reduction of another substrate. So it's called oxide reductase. The enzymes facilitate the biochemical reactions by providing alternate energy pathway. If this is the path of reaction, enzyme will provide an alternate pathway for which the activation energy is lesser and so increase the rate of reaction. Then let us take examples of certain enzymes and the reactions which they catalyze. Normally, a 1-mark question may be asked from this particular topic only. So just learn them. Maltase will carry out the hydrolysis of maltose into glucose and glucose. Lactase carries out hydrolysis of lactose into glucose and galactose. Amylase will break down starch into N times glucose molecules. Invertase will convert sucrose into glucose and fructose. Urease will break down urea into carbon dioxide and ammonia. Carbonic anhydrase breaks down carbonic acid into water and carbon dioxide. Pepsin breaks down proteins into amino acids. Trypsin also breaks down proteins into amino acids. Nuclease will break down DNA, nucleic acids like DNA and RNA into nucleotides. On the other hand, RNA polymerase will polymerize the nucleotides, ribonucleotide triphosphates into RNA. And DNA polymerase will polymerize deoxyribonucleotide triphosphates into DNA. Important characteristics of enzymes are high efficiency. They can increase the speed of a reaction about 10 million times. For example, they do so by decreasing the activation energy required for the molecule. For example, the enzyme sucrase will reduce the activation energy required for hydrolysis of sucrose from 6.22 kilojoules per mole to only 2.15 kilojoules per mole. Extremely small amount quantities of enzyme can increase the speed of reaction. For example, 1/1,000,000th of a mole of an enzyme can increase the rate by a factor of 10 raised to power 3 to 10 raised to power 6. They are extremely specific in nature. For example, the enzyme maltase will catalyze the hydrolysis of maltose. It will act on this molecule only and no other enzyme can carry out its hydrolysis. They work on an optimum temperature and pH. For example, at 37 degrees centigrade and pH around 7, most of the enzymes work. Control of activity of enzymes. The action of enzymes are controlled by various mechanisms, and the activity of most enzymes are closely regulated. Sometimes, in some cases, most active enzymes are associated with some non-protein compounds required for their activity. These are called prosthetic groups or coenzymes. The prosthetic group which is covalently attached with the enzyme molecule is known as cofactor. The prosthetic group which gets attached to enzyme at the time of reaction are called coenzymes. These are generally metal ions or small organic molecules. The common metal ions are zinc, magnesium, manganese, iron, copper, cobalt, molybdenum, potassium, and sodium. Several coenzymes are derived from vitamins such as thiamine, niacin, riboflavin, etc. In some cases, the enzyme activity can be reduced or inhibited by the presence of certain compounds known as enzyme inhibitors. The mechanism by which the enzymes catalyze reactions are the various steps are: in the first step, the substrate gets bound to the enzyme to form an enzyme substrate complex, and in the next step the enzyme will carry out the conversion of the substrate to product, so that the enzyme substrate complex changes to enzyme product complex, and in the last step the product is released from the enzyme and the enzyme is now fit to act upon another substrate molecule. The catalytic activity of enzyme is present at certain specific regions on their surfaces. These are called active sites. These active sites have characteristic shape and fit suitably into the enzyme, and because of this, because of the specific binding, their enzymes are highly specific. Applications of enzymes. Some enzyme deficiencies may cause disease in the body. So, for example, the deficiency of phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme causes the congenital disease phenylketonuria, and deficiency of tyrosinase enzyme causes albinism. So, these diseases can be treated by providing these enzymes in the diet. Then we can also use enzymes for curing diseases. For example, streptokinase is used for dissolving blood clots and prevent heart attacks. There are some industrial applications of enzymes. They are used in breweries, food processing units, manufacture of cheese, etc. Next is hormones. Hormones are chemical substances which are produced in ductless glands in the body. These are carried to different parts of the body by the bloodstream and control various body functions. Because of the action of hormones as communication among cells, they are called chemical messengers. And deficiency of hormones may cause metabolic disturbances in the body. In mammals, the secretion of hormones is controlled by the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland present at the base of the brain. These hormones are then transported to other glands such as adrenal cortex, thyroid, and sex glands to stimulate the production of other hormones. We can classify the hormones based upon their structures as well. So, on the structure, they can be classified into steroid hormones, protein or polypeptide hormones, and amine hormones. So, those hormones which have a steroid nucleus, that is a four-membered, four-ringed structure having 3 cyclohexanes and 1 cyclopentane. So, the steroid nucleus is based on a 4-ring network consisting of 3 cyclohexane rings and 1 cyclopentane ring. These are mostly secreted by testes and adrenal cortex of males and are called sex hormones or adrenal cortex hormones. The common examples are testosterone, dihydrosterone, and androgens, and during puberty these stimulate the male sex characteristics. In females, Estrogens are female sex hormones which are produced by the ovaries and are responsible for the development of female sex characteristics during puberty. Proteins or polypeptide hormones will contain a peptide chain. For common examples are oxytocin, vasopressin and insulin. Amine hormones are water-soluble compounds which have an amino group and are structurally derived from amino acids. Common examples are adrenaline and thyroxine. So, let us talk about different hormones of our body, their organ of secretion and their function. So, steroid hormones are divided into sex hormones and adrenal cortex hormones. Sex hormones are testosterone produced in testes, this is for male, and these regulate the development and normal functioning of male sex organs. Estrogens are hormones which are produced by ovaries of the females and control the development and normal functioning of female sex organs. Then progesterone is released by corpus luteum of female at the time of pregnancy and control the development and maintenance of pregnancy. Adrenal cortex hormone is cortisone. It is produced by adrenal cortex and regulates the metabolism of fats, proteins and carbohydrates and controls the balance of water. Peptide hormones are oxytocin, which is secreted by posterior pituitary gland and controls the contraction of uterus at the time of childbirth and regulates the release of milk from mammary glands. So this is oxytocin. Then vasopressin is produced by pituitary glands and controls the reabsorption of water in the kidney. Insulin is released by pancreas and controls the metabolism of glucose and maintains glucose level in the blood. Amine hormones are adrenaline or epinephrine and thyroxine. Adrenaline or epinephrine is secreted by adrenal medulla. It increases the pulse rate and controls blood pressure. It releases glucose from liver, glycogen from fatty acids, and glycogen and fatty acids from fats in emergency. It's also called emergency hormone. Thyroxine is secreted by thyroid gland and controls metabolism of carbohydrates, lipids and proteins. So once again, the anterior lobe of pituitary gland in our brain will secrete hormones which will be sent to sex gland, adrenal cortex or thyroid, and then these will be initiated to produce their hormones. Based on structure, they can be categorized into steroid hormones, protein or polypeptide hormones and amine hormones. Steroid hormones are further divided into two classes, sex hormones and adrenal cortex hormones. Sex hormones in males are testosterone, dihydrosterone and androgens. Testosterone regulate development and functioning of male sex organs. Dihydrotestosterone and androgens are responsible for male characteristics during puberty. In females, there are estrogens which control development and functioning of female sex organs and progesterone which controls the development and maintenance of pregnancy. Then adrenal cortex hormones are cortisones which regulate the metabolism of fats, proteins and carbohydrates and balance of water and minerals in the body. Then protein or polypeptide hormones can be oxytocin, which are responsible for contraction of uterus and production of milk, vasopressin, which is responsible for reabsorption of water in the kidney, and insulin, which is responsible for metabolism of glucose and also maintenance of glucose level in the blood. And amine hormones are adrenaline, which is also called emergency hormone, and thyroxine, which controls the metabolism of carbohydrate, proteins and lipids. That's all in today's video. If you like the video, please do share and subscribe. Thank you. Have a nice day.